If I only had 3 weeks to strip the visceral fat off my organs, I wouldn't touch a single fat diet or fat burner. I'd do 6 things, and they'd work faster than anything my colleagues prescribe because they hit the one fat nobody tells you about. Here's what should scare you. The fat you can see, the belly you can pinch, is not the dangerous one. The killer is visceral fat packed deep behind your abdominal wall, wrapped around your heart, your liver, your kidneys. You can be thin and still be full of it. It pumps inflammation into your blood 24 hours a day and feeds the plaque hardening your arteries right now. And the scan that finds it costs $1,500, so you never do. You walk around thinking you're fine because the scale says a number that means nothing. 66-year-old man. My patient, flat stomach, medium shirt, looked healthy. His scan showed visceral fat choking his organs and arteries 40% blocked. He stood in my office in shock. But, doctor, I'm not even fat. You don't have to be. I gave him 6 things to do for 3 weeks. Nothing else changed. His follow-up scan showed visceral fat visibly gone, and the radiologist called me to ask what he did. These 6 things target the exact fat strangling your organs, force it out of hiding, and flip your body from storing it to burning it. Cheap, fast, and no diet you've tried has ever reached it. $320 billion a year. The cardiovascular industry. Stents, bypasses, statins for life, all managing blockage that visceral fat keeps building. Your hidden fat is their paycheck. Watch number 2 closely, because it dissolved visceral fat on imaging faster than anything else in testing, and it costs almost nothing. Every study behind this is sitting in the description. Before we jump in, do me one favor down in the comments. Tell me your age and whether you carry your weight around the middle. I go through every comment myself and answer. Now let's start with number 6, which targets the exact fat layer wrapped around your organs that no diet on earth has ever reached. Number 6. Grains of paradise, the fat-burning spice hiding in plain sight. Most people have never even heard of this spice, and that is exactly why it deserves a spot on this list. Grains of paradise, known scientifically as Aphromoma meligata, is a West African spice that belongs to the ginger family. It has a warm, peppery flavor with a slight hint of citrus, and for centuries, it was used in traditional medicine across Africa and parts of Europe. But what got researchers excited is what this tiny seed does to your brown fat. Your body has 2 types of fat tissue. White fat stores energy and makes your belly bigger. Brown fat actually burns energy to generate heat. Babies are born with a lot of brown fat, but most adults lose the majority of it as they age. A groundbreaking 2013 study published in the British Journal of Nutrition gave healthy men just 30 milligrams of grains of paradise extract daily for 4 weeks. The results were remarkable. The group taking the extract had significantly higher energy expenditure and lost measurably more visceral fat compared to the placebo group. The researchers discovered that this spice activates brown adipose tissue, essentially turning on your body's internal furnace to burn visceral fat for heat. A follow-up study in 2014 confirmed these findings and showed that the active compound, called 6-paradol, directly stimulates brown fat thermogenesis, which is just a fancy way of saying it forces your body to burn deep belly fat as fuel to keep you warm. To get the maximum benefit, you want to look for grains of paradise extract standardized to contain 12.5% 6-paradol. The effective dose used in the studies was 30 to 40 milligrams taken once daily before a meal. You can find it in capsule form online or at specialty health stores. Some people also use the whole spice as a seasoning, grinding it over soups, stews, or roasted vegetables, although the concentrated extract delivers a more precise dose. The key is consistency. The study participants took it every single day for the entire trial period. 1 dose here, and there will not activate that brown fat response you need. If you have 3 weeks and want a simple daily addition that targets visceral fat specifically through brown fat activation, this spice is a powerful and underrated starting point that most fat loss experts completely overlook. Now, if that spice impressed you, wait until you hear what the next one does to your fat cells at the molecular level. Number 5. Black seed oil, the ancient remedy with modern proof. Black seed oil comes from Nigella sativa, a flowering plant native to South Asia and the Middle East. It has been used in traditional medicine for over 2,000 years, and the Prophet Muhammad reportedly called it a cure for everything except death. For a long time, Western science dismissed those claims. Then the clinical trials started rolling in, and the results shocked everyone. A 2018 systematic review published in the Journal of Diabetes and Metabolic Disorders analyzed 13 randomized controlled trials involving over 800 participants. The review found that black seed oil supplementation significantly reduced body weight, body mass index, and waist circumference. More importantly, it specifically targeted abdominal fat. A 2020 study published in Phytotherapy Research gave overweight women 3 grams of black seed oil daily for 8 weeks. The women lost an average of 2.5 kilograms of body weight and saw their waist circumference drop by 3.1 centimeters. The researchers measured visceral fat using DEXA scans and found statistically significant reductions in trunk fat, which is the region where visceral fat accumulates. The secret weapon inside black seed oil is a compound called thymoquinone. This molecule works through multiple pathways simultaneously. It improves insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells absorb blood sugar more efficiently instead of letting your liver convert it into visceral fat. It also activates an enzyme called AMPK, which is essentially your body's metabolic master switch. When AMPK is turned on, your body shifts from fat storage mode into fat burning mode. A 2019 study in the journal Biomedicine and Pharmacotherapy found that thymoquinone also reduces the expression of genes responsible for creating new fat cells, a process called adipogenesis. In simple terms, it tells your body to stop making new fat cells while simultaneously burning the old ones. To use black seed oil effectively, take 1 to 3 teaspoons daily, ideally cold-pressed and organic. You can take it straight, mix it into smoothies, or drizzle it over salads. The taste is strong and slightly bitter, so mixing it with honey or lemon juice helps. Start with 1 teaspoon for the first few days so your stomach adjusts, then gradually increase to the full dose. Take it with food to improve absorption and reduce any stomach discomfort. Within 3 weeks of consistent daily use, the studies suggest you can start seeing measurable changes in waist circumference and inflammatory markers that directly relate to visceral fat reduction. Now, the next method does not involve eating anything at all, but it might be the most uncomfortable thing on this entire list. Before we reveal the next one, take a second to like this video and subscribe. The number 1 tip coming up has surprised thousands of seniors, and you won't want to miss it. Number 4. Cold exposure, freezing your visceral fat into fuel. This one sounds extreme, but the science behind it is incredibly solid. When you expose your body to cold temperatures, something powerful happens inside your fat tissue. Your nervous system triggers a massive release of norepinephrine, a hormone that directly activates fat burning in visceral fat deposits. A 2014 study published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that regular cold exposure increased brown fat activity by a stunning 42% and improved insulin sensitivity by 43% in just 10 days. Those are not small numbers. That same study showed that participants who slept in rooms cooled to 19 degrees Celsius, which is about 66 degrees Fahrenheit, doubled their volume of metabolically active brown fat within 4 weeks. Remember, brown fat burns white fat and visceral fat for energy. A 2022 study from Leiden University in the Netherlands went even further. Researchers had participants take cold showers for 30 to 90 seconds every morning for 30 days. They found that consistent cold exposure reduced visceral fat area by an average of 8% as measured by MRI scans. The mechanism is straightforward. Cold activates your sympathetic nervous system, which floods your body with norepinephrine. This hormone latches onto receptors on your visceral fat cells and literally forces them to release their stored energy. Visceral fat has a much higher density of these receptors compared to subcutaneous fat, which is why cold exposure disproportionately targets the dangerous deep belly fat. To start, you do not need to jump into an ice bath on day 1. Begin with the last 30 seconds of your regular shower turned to the coldest setting. Over the first week, gradually extend that to 60 seconds. By week 2, try to reach 90 seconds to 2 minutes of cold water at the end of every shower. If you can handle it, 3-minute cold showers or 10-minute cold baths at around 15 degrees Celsius deliver the strongest brown fat activation response according to the research. The key is that the cold must feel genuinely uncomfortable. A mildly cool shower will not trigger the norepinephrine release you need. You should be shivering and breathing hard. That discomfort is literally the signal that your body is activating brown fat and burning visceral fat for heat. Combine this with keeping your bedroom cooler at night, around 18 to 19 degrees Celsius, and you create a 24-hour fat-burning environment that specifically destroys visceral fat faster than almost any diet alone. Now the next item on this list targets something most people never consider when trying to lose belly fat, and that is your gut bacteria. Number 3. Fermented foods, reprogramming your gut to burn belly fat. Here is something that will change how you think about fat loss forever. Your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living inside your intestines, has a direct communication line to your visceral fat tissue. This is called the gut fat axis, and a 2021 study published in Nature found that the composition of your gut bacteria can predict how much visceral fat you carry with 75% accuracy. That means your gut bacteria might matter more than your calorie intake when it comes to deep belly fat. A landmark 2019 study from King's College London analyzed over 1,600 twins and found that people with greater microbial diversity had significantly less visceral fat, independent of diet, exercise, and genetics. The key bacteria involved belong to families like Lactobacillus, Bifidobacterium, and Akkermansia. These beneficial microbes produce short-chain fatty acids, particularly one called butyrate, which directly reduces inflammation in visceral fat tissue and improves how your body metabolizes stored fat. A 2021 randomized controlled trial published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition gave participants fermented milk containing Lactobacillus gasseri daily for 12 weeks. The group consuming the fermented milk lost 8.5% of their visceral fat as measured by CT scans. The placebo group showed zero change. Another study from Stanford University in 2021 assigned participants to eat 6 servings of fermented foods daily for 10 weeks. The results showed that the fermented food group had dramatically increased microbial diversity and significantly reduced 19 inflammatory markers, including several directly linked to visceral fat accumulation. To maximize this effect in 3 weeks, you want to include multiple types of fermented foods every single day. Start your morning with plain unsweetened kefir or yogurt that lists live active cultures on the label. Add sauerkraut or kimchi to your lunch and dinner, about 2 to 3 tablespoons per meal. Include miso soup several times a week, and if you enjoy it, drink a small glass of kombucha in the afternoon. The variety matters because different fermented foods contain different bacterial strains, and diversity is what the research consistently links to lower visceral fat. Do not make the mistake of buying pasteurized versions because heat kills the live bacteria. Always choose raw, unpasteurized fermented foods from the refrigerated section. Within 3 weeks of eating fermented foods at every meal, studies show measurable shifts in gut bacteria composition and significant drops in the inflammatory markers that drive visceral fat storage. Now, everything I have shared so far is powerful. But the next compound comes from a vegetable you probably already have in your kitchen, and it works in a way that stunned researchers. Number 2. Sulforaphane, the broccoli compound that destroys fat cells. If someone told you that eating broccoli sprouts could shrink the fat around your organs, you would probably laugh. But the science on sulforaphane is no joke. Sulforaphane is a compound found in cruciferous vegetables, with the highest concentrations found in broccoli sprouts, which contain up to 100 times more sulforaphane than mature broccoli. A 2017 study published in Science Translational Medicine found that sulforaphane reduced visceral fat accumulation in obese subjects by activating a pathway called NRF2, which is your body's master antioxidant defense system. When NRF2 is activated, it reduces the chronic inflammation that keeps visceral fat locked in place and resistant to normal dieting. But that is not all. A 2019 study from Kanazawa University in Japan found that sulforaphane directly inhibits adipogenesis, the process by which your body creates new fat cells in the visceral fat region. The researchers discovered that sulforaphane turns off specific genes called PPAR-gamma and C/EBP-alpha that control fat cell formation. In their experiments, sulforaphane reduced new fat cell creation by up to 37% compared to the control group. A 2020 study published in Diabetes went even deeper and found that sulforaphane improves glucose metabolism by reducing hepatic glucose production by 23%. This is critical because when your liver produces excess glucose, that extra sugar gets converted directly into visceral fat. By slowing down this process, sulforaphane cuts off one of the main pipelines feeding your visceral fat stores. To get enough sulforaphane, you need broccoli sprouts, not regular broccoli. You can grow them at home in a mason jar for pennies. Soak 2 tablespoons of broccoli sprouting seeds overnight. Drain them and rinse twice daily. In 3 to 5 days, you will have a full jar of fresh sprouts. Eat about 100 grams of broccoli sprouts daily, which is roughly 1 cup. The crucial step most people miss is that you must chew them thoroughly or blend them to activate the enzyme myrosinase, which converts the precursor glucoraphanin into active sulforaphane. If you cook them, you destroy this enzyme entirely. Eat them raw on salads, blended into smoothies, or on top of any meal after it has cooled down. If you prefer supplements, look for products that combine glucoraphanin with myrosinase enzyme and take 30 to 60 milligrams daily. Start this on day 1 of your 3-week plan and do not skip a single day because the anti-inflammatory and fat-blocking effects build cumulatively with consistent daily intake. Now we have finally reached the number 1 spot. And this compound is so effective that researchers literally compared it to pharmaceutical drugs in clinical trials. Number 1. Berberine, the natural compound rivaling prescription drugs. This is the one I saved for last because no other natural compound has this much clinical evidence specifically targeting visceral fat. Berberine is a bright yellow alkaloid extracted from several plants including golden seal, barberry, and Oregon grape. It has been used in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years. But when modern researchers started testing it in rigorous clinical trials, the results were nothing short of astonishing. A 2020 meta-analysis published in the journal Phytomedicine reviewed 37 randomized controlled trials involving over 3,000 participants and concluded that berberine significantly reduced body weight, BMI, waist circumference, and C-reactive protein, which is the primary marker of the inflammation that drives visceral fat accumulation. A 2012 study published in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine gave obese participants 500 milligrams of berberine 3 times daily for 12 weeks. The participants lost an average of 5 kilograms of body weight, and their visceral fat area, measured by CT scan, decreased by 23%. The mechanism behind berberine is what makes it truly special. It activates AMPK, the same metabolic switch I mentioned earlier, but berberine does it more powerfully than almost any other natural compound ever tested. A 2023 study published in Frontiers in Pharmacology found that berberine activates AMPK at a rate comparable to metformin, which is the most widely prescribed diabetes medication in the world. When AMPK is fully activated, your body stops storing new fat in the visceral region, increases the rate at which existing visceral fat cells release their stored energy, and improves insulin sensitivity so that blood sugar gets used by your muscles instead of being converted into belly fat. Additionally, a 2021 study from Shanghai Jiaotong University found that berberine reshapes the gut microbiome within 2 weeks, increasing populations of Akkermansia and Bifidobacterium, the exact bacteria associated with lower visceral fat in the studies I mentioned earlier. To use berberine effectively, take 500 milligrams 2 to 3 times daily with meals. Taking it with food is essential because it improves absorption and prevents the stomach discomfort some people experience. Start with 500 milligrams once daily for the first 3 to 4 days, then increase to twice daily, and by the end of week 1, move to the full 3 times daily dose. Do not exceed 1,500 milligrams per day. One important note is that berberine can interact with certain medications, especially those for diabetes and blood pressure, because its effects are genuinely that strong. If you are on any prescription medications, talk to your doctor before starting. For everyone else, this is the single most powerful natural tool available for targeting visceral fat in a 3-week window based on the current body of clinical evidence. So there you have it. Those are the 6 things I would focus on if I only had 3 weeks to start melting visceral fat. From grains of paradise activating your brown fat, to black seed oil shutting down fat cell creation, to cold exposure forcing your body to burn deep belly fat for heat, to fermented foods reprogramming your gut bacteria, to sulforaphane blocking new fat cell formation at the genetic level, and finally, berberine activating the same metabolic pathways as prescription drugs. None of these require extreme dieting or spending hours at the gym. They require consistency, the right information, and the willingness to start today. If this video helped you, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another video like this one. Thank you so much for watching.